My name is Tessa Hart, 30 years old. I used to think trust sounded like ocean waves, constant, quiet, something you don't notice until it's gone. Lately, it sounded like forks against plates and clipped answers across a table where I was trying not to ask the wrong questions. The night Eric told me I was controlling started with Linguini going cold. I asked where he'd been earlier. He'd said the gym, but the tiny gray dot that used to comfort me was parked behind a brick building I didn't recognize. The dot was our compromise. For safety, he'd insisted, back when the world felt simple. Now it was suddenly proof I was paranoid. He didn't shout. Eric's never shouted. He sharpened. Tessa, stop checking my location. It's toxic. You want a relationship or surveillance? The waiter refilled water, the lemon wedge bumping the glass like punctuation. People at nearby tables laughed about something easy. I studied the fork marks on the napkin and decided I didn't want to be the woman in public who begged her boyfriend to let her keep the training wheels on trust. Fine, I said, and my voice surprised me by how steady it was. I won't check anymore. The apology he gave me then, thin, pretty, plausible, smelled like a candle called boundaries. He reached for my hand. I just need a little space. Work's been a lot. When the pasta finally arrived, he made me laugh. He always knew how. I told myself I was proud of the way I let go. That night I deleted the app. Not the connection, just the icon. A symbolic unclenching. Clean slate. Trust. He was up early the next morning, the apartment soft with dawn. Back-to-back meetings, he said, kissing my temple. Might be late. I watched the door close and nodded to the empty room. The week slipped into a routine of late night at the office, drinks with the team, quick yoga, don't wait up. I kept my promise. No checks, no questions. Every time suspicion swam up, I shoved it under with a mantra. Don't be ridiculous, Tessa. You asked for trust. Now wear it. Friday, he packed a weekend bag. Mom's place, he said. She's lonely lately. Patricia had always been kind to me in that efficient, tidy way some mothers wear like perfume. I liked picturing him at her kitchen table. I texted, "Tell Patricia I say hi." He sent back a heart. Saturday at 2:13, my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost ignored it, then answered, bracing for a scam. It wasn't. It was our credit card company, the joint account I opened and added Eric to for shared expenses and, I thought, a small vow. The woman was calm, professional, reading off a screen that contained my life. Are you aware of recent charges? What charges? Thursday night, Aurora Bistro, $240. Friday morning, Seabright Boutique, $380. Friday afternoon, the Ocean View Grand Resort, 2 nights, premium suite, $1,800. Something in me went very still then, like the water in a glass right before you see the ripple. Where is the resort? I asked, and I knew the question came from the part of me that wanted geography to be rubber. She told me a beach town 2 states south. I thanked her. She asked if they were legitimate. My mouth formed no, and my hand was already moving. When we hung up, the apartment became an echo chamber, the hum of my laptop, the click of the trackpad. Every noise rang like a bell. The website for the Ocean View Grand loaded in high-gloss cruelty, balconies over water, couples folded into each other over linen, adjectives like romantic and bespoke and premium floating like confetti. Eric was supposed to be 3 hours north at his mother's house. The resort was 5 hours south. I reinstalled the app I'd uninstalled to be a good person. My stomach did a neat, humiliating flip when I saw his dot staked through the resort like a pin on a butterfly. I took a screenshot. The timestamp glared. Saturday, 2:47 p.m. I texted him, "How's Patricia?" He answered an hour later, "Good. Lunch and catching up." A heart. I stared at the screens until the pixels swam. I texted Patricia because it was the cleanest line to truth. "Hey, Patricia. Quick question. Is Eric with you this weekend?" She responded quickly, the way mothers do for the kids they still try to keep from falling. "No, honey. He said he was spending the weekend with you. Is everything okay?" I watched the words like they were oxygen bubbles rising to the surface. I thanked her. I didn't explain. I added her text to the growing gallery. Credit card app, resort website, Eric's location dot, Patricia's message. 4 corners of a picture that made my chest ache. Here is the ugly part. I didn't rush to the car. I didn't become a movie. I sat on the couch and let the apartment dim around me, and I let the humiliation burn through the first layer of skin and settle somewhere colder. I told myself I wanted to see the whole pattern before I tore it down. Saturday night, he texted, "Having such a good time with Mom. Might stay an extra night. Home, Monday." I wrote, "Enjoy." He sent a photo Sunday morning. 2 plates, pancakes, a coffee mug with a floral rim I recognized from Patricia's cupboard, but the background was wrong. The light was salt bright, not Patricia's north window gray. At the edge of the frame, the corner of another mug, a hand with painted nails. The crop was careful, but not careful enough. I screenshotted it. Evidence of the thing people try to gaslight you into thinking is not real. The obvious. Sunday became a sequence of small, methodical motions. I printed the screenshots one by one, the printer spitting out paper like a metronome. I opened our credit card app and watched the charges appear in real time. Brunch at the resort restaurant, $86. I lined the papers on the coffee table in rows, chronological. I made coffee and didn't drink it. I packed a bag slowly, just in case, I told myself, but the bag sat by the door like a verdict. On Monday, I called in sick and stayed home. The apartment felt surgical, too clean. At 10:02, Eric texted, "Leaving Mom's now. Should be home around 1." I wrote back, "Okay, drive safe." Then I sat in the kind of silence that has shape. I looked around and wondered when I'd stopped recognizing our couch as a place where we watched movies and started seeing it as a courtroom bench. I arranged the proof again. Location shot, card transactions, Patricia's text, the cropped breakfast photo, a note I'd written in the margin. Premium suite, ill 1 king bed. I kept thinking about language, how you can stack words like privacy and toxic over the top of behavior and hope no one notices the shape underneath. At 1:17, the lock turned. His footsteps came down the hall, cheerful and unprepared. He was tan from a sun I hadn't been under, glow of someone who believes his story will be enough. "Hey, babe," he said, warm as if warmth were a spell. He leaned in to kiss me and stopped mid-reach when he saw the coffee table. For a beat, we simply listened to the room. The small air conditioner rattling, a car door thudding outside, our breaths tangling, and trying not to touch. He looked down at the neat little museum of our weekend and picked up the screenshot of his location first, because that's where he'd hurt me and where he thought he could argue. He set it down. Picked up the resort charge. Set it down. Picked up Patricia's text. I watched it hit him like a second door closing behind the first. "This isn't what it looks like," he said finally. I almost laughed, not because anything was funny, but because language is so predictable under pressure. "Okay," I said. My voice sounded calm and strange. "What is it?" He opened his mouth and closed it. His face did a tiny rearrangement I'd never seen before, like watching someone choose a mask in slow motion. "It was a last-minute thing," he tried. "Friends from work. I didn't want to stress you. We split costs. I reached for the printed room type and tapped the line that read, "Premium suite, 1 king bed." Something sharp flashed through his eyes, the first crack. He pivoted. "Tessa, I can explain," he started, and the words fell between us like loose change. No weight, too many hands. Outside, somewhere, a truck backfired. Inside, I could hear the clock. Do you know that sound? Time becoming a metronome while your life rearranges itself around you without asking. I stood up and went to the door where my week's worth of clothes leaned like a friend who'd already agreed to take me in. "Please explain," I said, and felt my voice go very still. "But make it make sense." He looked from the bag to the coffee table to me. For a second, he was the boy who convinced me to trust him, backlit by summer. Then he was a man who had written 3 different versions of the weekend and sent each one to a different person and called it love. His mouth moved. The reasons cued. I waited. He started with the kind of explanation that relies on fog. It was a work thing, spur of the moment. We all booked through the same card to get a group rate. I didn't want to stress you about money. His hands moved as if shaping the air might produce a receipt that agreed with him. I held his gaze. "Who is we?" "Just People from the team, he said, and I could feel the lie thinning out like cheap fabric. We got separate beds. Premium suite, I read, the paper softening where my fingers pinched it. 1 king bed. He exhaled, something exhausted and theatrical. Okay, okay. His voice gentled like a veterinarian speaking to a startled dog. It wasn't a group, it was 2 of us. Kayla and me. But it was nothing, Tessa. A decompressed trip. She just went through a breakup. I didn't know the name yet, but the syllables landed with a bruise. Kayla. He nodded quickly, relieved I'd said it for him. We've been paired on a project. It's intense. She needed to clear her head. He detoured into phrases that sounded like good intentions. Being supportive. Shoulder to lean on. Separate worlds. Work-life boundaries. I should have told you. I just didn't want you to worry. Your mom didn't worry because you told her you were with me, I said, not raising my voice, because the truth doesn't need volume to be heavy. I didn't worry because you told me you were with your mom. The ugly arithmetic sat between us. 1 lie plus another equals a story that balances until it falls. He reached for me like he could close the distance with touch. Tess, I swear nothing happened. Then why the suite? I asked. Why the restaurant, the boutique, the spa brunch with someone else's hand in the frame? His mouth opened. His face did that new rearrangement again. I'm telling you the truth now. You're telling me a truth now, I said. Not the truth. I picked up my bag. The weight felt like a plan. I'm going to stay at Maya's. He tried to move in front of the door. I stepped around him. He didn't grab me. He knew better than to put bruises where cops photograph, but his voice grabbed at the air. Don't make this bigger than... It's exactly the size you made it, I said, and left. Maya opened her apartment with the kind of hug that holds you up by pretending it's casual. She listened while I arranged the papers again on her coffee table, a smaller replica of the museum I'd built at home. I knew something was off, she said, pouring tea, like it could stitch anything. He's been curating his answers for weeks. I slept badly, surface sleep that fractures at every hallway noise. At 9:40 a.m., a text from an unknown number tapped the screen. Hi, Tessa. This is Kayla. I'm so sorry to contact you. I thought you should know. I didn't realize Eric was still in a relationship. He told me you'd broken up. The message was long and careful. She said the trip was his idea, that he'd needed a reset, that she'd believed him because he'd sounded convincing. I stared at her words and hated that I believed her. I asked a single question. How long? She replied, 3 weeks. I'm blocking him now. I'm sorry. I screenshotted it and added it to the folder. Then I did the thing I'd been avoiding. I texted Patricia. Hey, thank you for your message yesterday. I didn't want to involve you, but I need to confirm something for the bank. Eric used our joint card at a resort 2 states south this weekend while telling both of us different stories. It took her only a minute. I'm so sorry, honey. I didn't know. Stay home. He'll figure it out. The words landed like a verdict from a judge who loved both the defendant and the law. At lunch, while Maya and I sat on her fire escape picking at salads that tasted like cardboard and adrenaline, my phone rang again. Credit card fraud investigation. A different woman this time, patient, trained in the neutral tone of people who ask questions about fires without getting burned. I described the charges, the location, the screenshots, the text from Patricia. Understood, she said. Please keep your documentation. If the other party disputes, there could be legal implications. She let that hang without saying for him. The silence had edges. I forwarded her the files. Then I forwarded Kayla's text to a separate email chain titled, Eric, Evidence. It felt morbid and necessary, like labeling tubes in a lab. At 3:12, Maya's door buzzer screamed. She looked at me. I looked at her. Don't, she mouthed. The buzzer screamed again, followed by a voice, strained sweet through the speaker. Tessa, it's me. I just want to talk. Maya pressed the intercom. She doesn't. Please, he said. 5 minutes. Leave, she said, and her voice sharpened with the courage I borrowed from her, or I'm calling the police. He didn't leave. Not at first. He tried our names like keys that might still fit. Maya, be reasonable. Tessa, I love you. We can fix this. The buzzer bellowed, a trapped animal. Maya dialed the non-emergency number and handed me the phone. My voice sounded like someone else's as I explained, recited the incident number we would acquire. By the time the officer called back, Eric was gone. We still made the report. Paper trails matter when love starts using the word harassment as makeup. That evening, my boss called. I got a strange voicemail, he said carefully, from someone claiming to be your boyfriend. He implied you were unstable, that there might be an issue here at work. The blood in my ears roared. I opened the folder on my phone and walked him through the screenshots, the reversal letter already promised by the bank, the police report number. He was silent for a long second. Document everything, he said finally. If there's another call, we'll escalate. An hour later, Eric's email landed in my work inbox like a staged bouquet. Subject: I'm in therapy now. Body: long paragraphs about mistakes, about stress at work, about how he'd panicked under pressure and made a terrible choice and never meant to hurt me. A request for coffee to apologize properly. I forwarded it to my personal account and replied once, small and clear. Please do not contact me at work again. I CC'd my boss. Within minutes, a second email. You're being cold. I deserve a chance to explain. I didn't answer. I added both to the folder. The next morning, I went to our apartment with an officer meeting me curbside. You're changing the locks today, he said, glancing at the clipboard. It wasn't a question. If he shows up, call immediately. Inside, the rooms look like the stage of a play after the audience goes home. Props in place, story evacuated. I boxed the rest of his things and set them by the door. My hands worked steadily while my heart tried to run laps in my ribs. At noon, his sister arrived, hair in a messy bun, apologies spilling out before her first foot crossed the threshold. I'm just here to get his stuff, she said, and then, lower, I told him this would happen. She wouldn't meet my eyes at first. When she did, they were tired. He's always kept options. It's like a game he thinks he's better at than everyone. Her mouth twisted. I'm sorry you got caught in it. She loaded the boxes into her car in 3 trips. On the last one, she paused. He asked if I'd beg you to talk to him. She shook her head. I'm not doing that to you. She lifted her chin. You deserve someone who doesn't need a folder to tell the truth. After she left, the locksmith arrived. He unfurled tools, a small orchestra of clicks and careful pressure. New cylinders, he said. Fresh keys. The old lock came out whole and blind. The new one slid in with a clean metal sigh. It cost $300 to reset the boundary between inside and out. Worth it is a small phrase for a large relief. That night, Maya and I ate takeout on the floor of my newly secured living room. The apartment felt like a lung I could finally inflate. I thought about the way Eric's voice had learned to bloom around certain words: respect, privacy, toxic, and how easily I'd let those blooms shade the ground where my instincts were trying to grow. I thought about Patricia's text, short and heavy as a stone you put in your pocket to remember gravity. Stay home. He'll figure it out. Around midnight, my phone vibrated. A text from a number I didn't recognize that began with, I know you hate me, and you should. It swelled into paragraphs about therapy, diagnoses, insight. It asked for a conversation to close the loop. I didn't reply. I took a screenshot. I added it to the folder, then set the phone face down, like you do with a mirror when you've had enough of yourself. On Sunday morning, a ping. Kayla. Just letting you know he reached out again. I told him no, that I won't be part of any more lies. I'm sorry for my part in your pain. I hope you're okay. I stared at the message until the words went out of focus and turned into shapes that looked like all the times women accidentally clean up after men's messes. I typed, thank you, take care of yourself. Then I turned my phone off and let the quiet finally be quiet. That evening, footsteps on the hallway carpet outside my door slowed, stopped. A shadow settled under the seam where the light cut across. It lingered. The new lock sat cool and certain in my palm. I didn't move. The shadow stayed a long time, as if waiting for a role it no longer had, then drifted away. I exhaled, long and shaking. The apartment held. The folder glowed like a low-voltage lamp on my desk. A boundary is a door that closes. A boundary is also the woman who chooses not to open it. 3 weeks later, I stopped counting days since the last message. Silence had become its own kind of music. Steady, merciful, offbeat, only when I caught myself expecting the next ring or ping that never came. Work steadied. Sleep returned in patches. Maya teased me for alphabetizing my spice rack. I said it was cheaper than therapy, though I went to that too. Healing, I was learning, looks boring from the outside. Then, on a gray Friday afternoon, my phone buzzed with a number I half recognized. Patricia. I hesitated before answering, guilt flashing like static. Tessa, honey, she said, voice weighted with exhaustion and tenderness. I just wanted to apologize again. I had no idea Eric was capable of this. I raised him better. I told her she didn't owe me anything. She disagreed. He's been staying with me, she said quietly. It's been hard. He's not taking responsibility. Keeps saying you overreacted. The ache I thought I'd boxed up stirred. I'm sorry you're dealing with that. She sighed. I told him lying and using someone else's card isn't a mistake. It's a choice. He needs to grow up. I just wanted you to know I don't condone it. You didn't deserve what he did. I thanked her, meaning it. Her voice softened. You'll find someone who tells the truth the first time, sweetheart. Someone who doesn't need receipts. After we hung up, I sat staring at the muted light filtering through the blinds. That sentence felt like a benediction. One mother to another woman she now quietly respected. 2 weeks after that, I moved back into my apartment. Maya helped me carry the last box up the stairs, handed me the new key like a graduation certificate. You're officially home, she said. The first night alone felt strange. The air carried no waiting. I ordered pizza, watched an old movie, laughed at jokes that landed the same way they had before everything. I fell asleep with the windows open and dreamed of nothing. Days passed. Work emails, gym visits, the ordinary hum of a life rethreading itself. The folder stayed in my desk drawer, sealed but unforgotten. Proof of what happens when intuition whispers and you finally decide to listen. Then, one late afternoon, while walking back from the grocery store, I saw it. His car parked across the street from my building. Black, clean, engine idling. My heart gave a single heavy beat before logic caught up. I didn't approach. I didn't wave. I walked past, keys already between my fingers, climbed the stairs, locked the door. He didn't follow. When I checked 10 minutes later, the car was gone. I texted Maya. He was here, just outside. I'm okay. Proud of you, she wrote back. You handled it right. That night, for the first time, I deleted the folder. Not out of forgiveness, out of freedom. I'd kept it like armor, but armor is heavy, and I was tired of carrying what no longer chased me. A month later, I ran into Kayla at a cafe downtown. She looked startled, then relieved. You look good, she said. So do you, I replied. We talked for 10 minutes about safe things. Work, books, weather. At one point she said, he called me once after everything, said he was getting help. Maybe he is, I said. Maybe, she echoed. Then she smiled, small and sincere. You saved both of us, you know. I didn't correct her. 3 months on, the credit card company sent a letter. Investigation closed. Charges reversed. No fraud found on your part. I placed it on the kitchen counter and read it twice. Clean record. Clean break. That weekend, I drove to the coast. The same coast he'd lied about. The one I'd seen only through screenshots and Google Images. I booked a cheap motel, not a premium suite, just a room with a view of the water and a window that stuck halfway open. The tide was low, the air smelling of salt and redemption. I stood barefoot at the edge and let the surf lick the hem of my jeans. It was strange, realizing I'd come full circle, from the woman who deleted an app to prove trust, to the one who learned she didn't need surveillance to recognize truth. I thought of Patricia's message again, the one that ended everything. Stay home, he'll figure it out. It sounded simple back then, almost cruel. Now I heard the wisdom tucked between the words. Stay home doesn't mean hide. It means hold your ground. Protect your peace. Let people meet their own consequences without dragging you down to witness them. As the sun sank, turning the horizon gold, I whispered a quiet goodbye to the version of myself who waited for proof. Because she'd found it, and she'd finally let it go.